The alien princess lay dying until a human warrior shared his lifeblood to keep her alive. Beginning. The battlefield was a graveyard of stars. Above the broken world of Erythra, shattered ships drifted like burning carcasses, their metal bones glowing in the dark. Human and alien alike had fallen in a war that should never have been fought, a war born of misunderstanding, fear, and pride. Sergeant Daniel Rourke dragged himself across the ruined deck of the alien flagship, his armor scorched and his pulse hammering in his ears. His squad was gone. His comms were dead. He had one rifle, 3 rounds left, and blood soaking through the cracks of his suit. And then he heard it, soft, strained, but unmistakably alive. A voice. Please. He turned his head. There, collapsed against a shattered control console, lay a woman unlike any he had ever seen. Her skin shimmered like silver under the flickering emergency lights, her hair flowing like threads of starlight. Her chest rose and fell shallowly, blood pooling beneath her. Daniel knew her face. Everyone in the fleet did. Princess Aranel of the Lithari Dominion. The war had raged for years between humanity and the Lithari, an ancient species who considered humans reckless upstarts. The princess was not just their heir, but also their symbol of unity. Her death here would ignite the war into something far worse, an endless crusade. And she was dying. Her eyes, bright and alien, flicked to him. She tried to speak, but coughed blood. Her veins glowed faintly beneath her skin, flickering like fading stars. Daniel dropped to his knees beside her. He was a soldier, not a medic, but he knew that look. She had minutes at best. Stay with me, he muttered, ripping open his pack. Nothing in his kit would help. Their biologies were different. Human medicine wouldn't save her. Then her trembling hand grasped his wrist with surprising strength. Our blood compatible, she whispered. Old Link shared ancestry. You must give. Daniel blinked. You're asking me to what? A transfusion? Her grip tightened. Or I die and war never ends. Middle. Daniel's training screamed at him that this was madness. Humanity and the Lithari had been enemies since first contact. Their anatomies were different, their blood compositions alien. Yet something in her tone, in her certainty, told him she wasn't guessing. The Lithari had long whispered of origins tied to Earth's own distant past, genetic echoes buried in both species. Scientists dismissed it as myth. But staring into Aranel's fading eyes, Daniel wondered if the myth was true. And if so, the choice was simple. He pulled off his gauntlet, grabbed a field syringe, and jabbed it into his arm. His own crimson blood filled the vial. Quickly, clumsily, he connected the line into the princess's vein, praying to gods he didn't believe in. The effect was immediate. Her body jerked as the human blood entered her. Her veins, once dim, pulsed with light again. Her breathing deepened. A gasp tore from her throat, and her silver eyes snapped wide, glowing with renewed life. Daniel exhaled, almost laughing in disbelief. Well, damn. Looks like we're cousins after all. Aranel stared at him, wonder mixing with pain. Your blood fire. Stronger than ours. It heals what was broken. He shrugged, trying to mask his own dizziness from blood loss. Don't get used to it. I'm not exactly a walking blood bank. For a moment, amidst the ruin of war, they simply looked at each other. Enemy and enemy. Soldier and princess. And yet, something deeper, something ancient, bound them now. But the war wasn't done with them. The ship groaned as explosions rippled through its hull. Fire spread. Atmosphere vented in bursts. Daniel hauled Aranel to her feet. We have to move. She staggered, but her grip on his shoulder steadied. Together, They limped through the broken corridors of the flagship. Alien bodies lay strewn across the floors, some Lithari, some human marines who had fought their way in. Blood of two species painted the walls. As they pushed forward, Aranel spoke in fragments, her voice stronger now with his blood flowing in her veins. The war was never meant. My father sought only to test you. Humanity grew too fast. He feared. Daniel almost laughed bitterly. He feared us, so he tried to wipe us out. Great plan. She lowered her head.
Not wipe. Contain.
But generals twisted it. Pride, hatred. I wanted peace. Her words sank into him like knives. He had lost friends, family, his whole unit to this war. And yet, walking beside her, he felt the strange weight of truth. Maybe this war was never destiny, but a mistake. And now, fate had bound their blood together. The turning point. They reached the hangar. Half the bay was destroyed, but one human dropship still clung to the deck, battered but functional. Alarms blared. Enemy reinforcements, Lithari soldiers, were converging. Daniel lifted his rifle. Stay behind me. But Aranel stepped forward, swaying slightly, her silver hair whipping in the wind of escaping atmosphere. She raised her hand, and to Daniel's shock, the Lithari soldiers froze. They stared at her in awe, lowering their weapons. She lives, one whispered. The princess breathes. Their eyes shifted to Daniel, suspicion hardening. A human soldier, stained with her blood, standing at her side. He saved me, Aranel declared, her voice ringing through the hangar. With his blood, he gave me life. The war ends tonight, or I am no princess. The soldiers hesitated. Murmurs spread. Loyalty to their heir clashed with centuries of hatred. Finally, one dropped his weapon. Then another. Daniel couldn't believe it. His blood hadn't just saved her life. It might have saved everyone's. But then the flagship shuddered violently. The core was collapsing. They had minutes before it tore itself apart. Go, Aranel urged. You must live. Daniel shook his head. Not without you. He half carried her into the dropship. Engines roared. Flames consumed the hangar, and as the flagship exploded behind them, the small ship tore free into the night of space. Ending. They landed on a neutral moon days later, where emissaries from both sides gathered in disbelief. The sight of the princess alive, standing beside a human soldier, spread like wildfire. When Aranel told her people the truth, when Daniel swore before his own commanders what had happened, something shifted in the galaxy. The myths of shared ancestry were no longer myth. Human blood and Lithari blood flowed from the same root. The proof lived in her veins. Peace didn't come overnight. Wars never end so easily. But treaties began. Ceasefires held. For the first time, the fires of hatred dimmed. As for Daniel and Aranel, history remembered them not as soldier and princess, but as the bond that stitched two civilizations together. Sometimes, the fate of galaxies turns not on the clash of fleets or the roar of cannons, but on a single act of compassion. One life given, one life saved. And so the chronicles wrote, the alien princess lay dying, until a human warrior shared his lifeblood to keep her alive. And from that blood, a new future was born.